Alrighty, friends, I am back again to look at the next kind of phase of the review that we're going to do. So I'm going back to IXL, I'm going to 8th grade, I'm making sure that I'm logged in. I am going to X2. X2 and X3 kind of go together. X2, I'm going to graph inequalities. So what are inequalities? Graphing inequalities, I'm going to have X be less than a number, less than or equal to some number. It might be greater than a number or greater than and equal to. Excuse me. So greater than means I'm going to have an open circle at that number and then to the right, because that's where the bigger, except for, sorry, this is less than. So like I was saying, I'm going to have n on the number line, whatever the number is, and then I'm going to do less than, so numbers to the left. And I'm choking. Okay, then X here is less than or equal to. So the difference is that when I get to that number on the number line, that number is included in my answer, so I color it in. This is a greater than, so X is bigger than that value, so at whatever that number is, I go off to the right where the bigger numbers are, keeping in mind that it's open again because it says it's greater than. We call that strictly greater than, not or equal to. But here I have greater than or equal to. So from that n, I'm going to go on up from there. So that's kind of what this is going to ask you to do. So when I look at this, mine says on IXL graph, X is greater than 2. And then the directions say to draw array, plot an endpoint, and select an arrow. So like on the IXL, it has a number line, and mine's like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. So what I'm going to do is I go to 2, and I'm thinking, okay, I need a colored dot at 2. So when I go to 2, I can click on it multiple times. If I click on it once, it's solid. If I clicked on it again, it would be open. So I click until it's solid, which is what I want. And then since I want greater than, I'm going to go over this way. And so I just go with my little arrow to that end of the number line and I click again. So I'll click here and then I'll click here again so that it knows which direction I want to go, and then it draws that arrow for me. I hit submit and then it just starts over. This one's X is greater than -1. It has the exact same instructions again. So I look on my number line that they give me and the numbers are already there. I'm looking for -1. This is greater than, strictly greater than, so I want an open circle, and then greater than will go to the right again. So what I'm going to have to do here is when I go to click this one at -1, I'm actually going to do it twice. Because when I do it the second time, it leaves the circle open. And then I just go to this right end of the number line, and then I click again. It creates that arrow for me. I hit submit. So easy peasy. Okay, so then let's take a look at what X3 is going to have me doing, which is basically the same exact thing, but opposite direction, if that makes any sense. So I go to X3, and this one is giving me, so here it says, write the inequalities. Inequalities, okay, sorry, from the number line. So here I'm going to be given the graphs. Like when I look at my first picture, there's a number line. It goes 0, -1, -2, arrow, 1, 2, 3, arrow. And then this part down here is a big old dot. Whoa, that's really fat. Whoa, that's really fat. And an arrow. That is unintentionally fat, sorry. But anyway, you get the idea. So then what I have to do is write my expression. So I'm going to always start with X. And since this is going to the left, I'm going to go less than. But because it's colored in, I'm going to go or equal to. And then since it's starting at 0, I'm going to put 0. They give me the symbols. So I'm going to type in my X. I'm going to choose this less than or equal to from the options they give me. I'm going to type in 0. I'm going to hit submit. So in the next one, I have my number line, and they have, it's starting at 6, and then it passes 7, 8, 9, and it just like goes off this direction forever. So then I decide, okay, X is, so I'm going to type that in, and now this is equal to 6 or bigger. So it's greater than or equal to 6, and then I have to just write that number. So again, I type in my X, I select the correct symbol, I type in my 6, no spaces or anything, and I hit submit. All right, so that is X3. So that's just practicing the basics. Then X6 and 7 are going to get into a little bit more actual algebra and say, okay, let's go ahead and solve two-step inequalities. So we're going to be doing some solving here. And I want to remind you that if it comes up, if you multiply or divide by a negative, and this is something we learned last quarter in chapter 6, but if you multiply or divide by a negative, you need to flip the sign. So you're going to need to flip your symbol. So if you had a greater than, it will change into a less than. If you had a less than or equal to, it will change into a greater than or equal to. It's literally going to flip around. I don't actually know if that's going to come up in these. It's hard to say what problems you'll get. So like my first problem looks like this. So what do? Well, I do the same thing as we were doing before in our solving. I get that out of there. Then I have 5u less than or equal to 5 minus 10 is negative 5. Now I'm dividing by 5, so I don't have to worry about flipping because I'm not dividing by a negative number. I have a negative number in my problem, but I'm not dividing by it. I'm dividing by 5, and 5 is a positive number. So what I'm going to be typing into my answer box is the u, and then I pick, because they give me all the options, less than or equal to -1. No spaces, hit submit, and I got it right. And I'm on to my next problem. It says 1 plus 4b less than 9. Excuse me. So I'm going to take this 1 away so that I have 4b less than 9 minus 1, which is 8. Dividing both sides by 4 to get that out of there. B is less than 2. So I'm going to type in B, pick less than 2, no spaces, good to go. And like I said, I don't actually know if you'll end up multiplying or dividing by a negative, but I'm going to do one more because I see that as I got into some harder problems, they have the letter on the right side. You really cannot do it that way. It's too confusing. So I'm still going to get it alone. I'm going to move the 10 over here by subtraction. 16 minus 10. I'm going to divide by 2 still, so I'm doing the same math. So I end up with this, but you can't really type that in. I hope they don't write it that way because that's confusing. I'm going to actually see if it lets me write it like that. 3 greater than or equal to u. It does. Okay, so you can type it in like this, or if you want to write the letter first, keep that alligator mouth in mind. The mouth is opening towards the 3, so when you write it, you would have to have it still opening towards that 3. So if that, you can type it in either way. All right, so then that is the type of problem you'll see in X6. In X7, you're going to be doing the same type of solving, but instead of just expressing your answer as a statement like these, up here, you're going to be graphing your answer. So in X7, I'm going to be graphing while I solve. But it's still going to be the same, that if I have to divide by a negative at some point, then I will have to flip the symbol. So this is the first one that popped up. I would take away 1. 3h less than or equal to -5 minus 1 more is -6. Dividing by 3, h is less than or equal to -2. And again, I have a negative number, but I'm not dividing by a negative. However, this one doesn't want this answer. It's just asking me to graph my answer on the number line. All it has is a big old number line. So I'm going to go to -2. It has all the numbers on the number line up there. it says like here, -2. I'm going to put a solid dot by doing that where I click on the -2, just like I practiced in the earlier one. And then less than means I want the numbers down here that are lower. So I'll go down to that end of the arrow. So I'm going to click here to get the dot. Then I'm going to click down here at the other end. And when I hit submit, I have that correct. I'll do one more of those. So I have this is less than 9. So I'm going to take away 3. 2q is less than 6 because 9 minus 3. Dividing by 2, I have not divided by a negative, so I don't have anything weird happening. This is my answer, but they don't want just the answer in this one. They want the graph. So I go up here to the number line, 1, 2, 3. They've got it all numbered. This is strictly less than, so I'll actually have to double click. Because if I double click, you'll see when you go to do it, that if you double click on 3, it creates an open circle since this is not or equal to. And then I want the numbers that are less than. So I want my arrow to go this way. So I'm going to click down here at the end of the arrow and it'll draw that whole thing in for me. I hit submit and I'm done. So we're just kind of practicing graphing, solving, and inequalities, all that good stuff. Hopefully that helps you with the IXLs for the second half of the week. Have a great week, you guys. Bye. All the IXLs are due by Friday at 8, so try to wrap that up.